Dick Turpin was an English highwayman whose exploits were romanticised following his execution in York for horse theft. In the early 1730s, he joined a gang of deer thieves, later became a poacher, burglar, horse thief and killer. Turpin's involvement in the crime with which he is most closely associated, highway robbery, followed the arrest of the other members of his gang in 1735. He then disappeared from public view towards the end of that year, only to resurface in 1737 with two new accomplices, one of which Turpin may have accidentally shot and killed. Turpin fled the scene and shortly afterwards killed a man who attempted his capture. Later that year, he moved to Yorkshire and assumed the alias of John Palmer. While he was staying at a local inn, magistrates became suspicious of Palmer. Suspected of being a horse thief, Palmer was imprisoned in York Castle. On March 22nd, 1739, Turpin was found guilty on 2 charges of horse theft and sentenced to death. He was hanged on the 7th of April, 1739. Turpin became the subject of legend after his execution, romanticised as dashing and heroic in English ballads and popular theatre of the 18th and 19th centuries, and in film and television of the 20th century. In this episode, I visit the grave of Dick Turpin. Here we are. This is the grave of Richard Turpin, otherwise known as the notorious highwayman and horse stealer, Dick Turpin. Executed in 1739 and buried in St George's Churchyard. Wow, who would have thought it? In the middle of what I can only describe as a housing estate. There's houses nearby, businesses all around. The tiniest cemetery I've ever seen, and all the other graves here are flat apart from Richard's. That's fascinating. Should we see if there's anything on the back of his grave? No, but some claw marks, which is unusual, I'm not going to lie. Now guys, the reason I've come here during the day is because it is, like I said, in the middle of a housing estate, and I don't know the area. I'm on my own as well, so I did take a little walk up here last night, but I just didn't like the vibe. I felt a bit uncomfortable because I was actually on my own, and because I don't know the area, I don't know what the place is like, I declined to do it. It wasn't because, I mean, it's like what most paranormal investigators say, and that is, you're not scared of the ghosts, scared of the people, scared of the living, and I didn't feel comfortable in myself to do that. So I'm sure you'll all agree it was the right thing to do. But there's so many other graves here. I mean, that one I can't even make out. And the fact that they're all flat. Died in 1817. It's just it's just a bit weird. John Jolly, 1833. So this place is pretty old. (1849). But do you know what this also tells me? I have to query this. Does that mean that Dick Turpin, the man, was the very first person to be buried here? Because his grave is the only one, well, his is the oldest. And this is St George's churchyard. St George's Church is just over the road. Unless there was another St George's before. I don't know, guys. I've literally done no research. Any research that I've done would have been at the beginning of this video. So I'll tell you what we'll do is, I think there's a bit of noise contamination, but what we'll do is we'll get the K2 out on the REM pod and we'll do a bit of ghost tube or something. Okay, let's do that. So, my name is Lee. I'm here to try and communicate with the spirit of Dick Turpin, Richard. I've got a couple of pieces of equipment you might be able to see. Got a little black box with a green light, that's called a K2. And just down here on the floor, a little red light called a REM pod. So I invite you to try and come forward if you can. Please, Mr. Turpin. So the stories go that you stole many horses. Is that true, or is it all just rumour, it was somebody else? Feel free to come forward. Okay guys, what I've done is I have got the Ghost Tube app out now. It's just there in my hand. So, Mr. Turpin, Richard, did they call you Richard? Or did the name just come about after you died? You can come forward, sir. There are people actually looking at me through the windows because, there's, like I said, this is a business, and yeah, and nothing, not one single word has come through on the Ghost Tube yet. What was the best job you ever did? What was the best time? If you could think back and tell me one memory that sticks in your mind, can you tell me what that was? I'm holding a device in my hands that will allow you to communicate, but like I said, you do have the K2. Once again, that is... What? Said the K2. That's the device on your stone with the green light. If you touch it, it will make the colours change. can change to red, orange. You've got the device here. If you touch it, it'll make a noise. Ralph. Thank you, Ralph. Is there a Ralph here? Thank you, Ralph. Feel free to come forward if you like, Ralph. I do find it odd that the oldest grave here in this tiny cemetery is the only one that's still vertical.
Maybe.
Maybe. Well, it is. Makes me also think how many graves are here that we don't know about. I mean, they're all flat. Are there more bodies here that we don't know about, Spirit?
What is that?
If you're referring to this in my hand, it's called a telephone. It's a piece of equipment that is believed a spirit, a ghost if you like, can come forward and maybe try and communicate. But I'm really looking to communicate with anybody, really. But ideally, I'd like the spirit or the ghost, if you like, of Richard Turpin.
What date is it?
The date is the 9th of, my apologies, that was yesterday, it's the 10th of August 2022. It's been almost 300 years since you died, Mr. Turpin, since you were executed. You killed a lot of people. Guys, just for the benefit of the tape, look, I've got legs, look. Check me out, I've got legs. It is hot here in York, and yeah, I'm glad of this little bit of shade that I have.
Footsteps.
Footsteps. The footsteps will be mine just, but unfortunately there's some machinery, so I can't hear if there's any more. If that was you, you need to come closer if you can. Make it louder. Do you think you could maybe throw something? You can talk into this device I'm holding, this big black thing with a red light on the front. It's called a camera, and we can take your photograph. Believe. You don't believe. I mean, you've got to sort of take the ghost tube out with a pinch of salt. In fact, you've got to take most apps with a pinch of salt, really, because you just, I mean, are they true? We don't know. And believe, you can interpret that in different ways. I've just said it takes your photograph. The spirit could be saying, I don't believe you. But as there's only certain words it could pick, it's up to you to try and determine what it is the spirit's trying to say, and you're going to be wrong 50% of the time. So you don't believe that it could take your photograph, or you do believe, or you don't believe there's you may have never seen this equipment before. In fact, I don't know if anybody's actually come here to try and communicate with you in the past. Am I the first person to try and communicate with you? If that's true, could you say your name? or even say my name. Like I said, my name is Lee, and I believe I'm talking to the spirit of Richard.
I am here.
Thank you. Thank you, Richard. Now, can you touch that red light for me, please, Richard? The one that makes a noise. Or can you touch the green light that's over there on your stone? It won't hurt you. Okay, so next plan of action is I'm going to get the ghost tube Vox, and we'll see if we can get anything coming through on the Vox. The spirit, I've changed the piece of equipment I'm using. I'm talking to any of the spirits here in this cemetery, but I especially like to talk to Mr. Turpin. Would you like to come forward, sir? Can you come forward and maybe try and communicate with us? So I've just skipped forward just a little bit, guys, because I've done the ghost tube Vox for about 10 minutes. I've just turned it off. Literally nothing was coming through, so very odd. Not a fat lot coming through the ghost tube at all, and I decided against bringing any other equipment with me, like the spirit box, because it's too noisy around here anyway. So, but it's just fascinating the fact that there's people walking past, and I'm not actually sure anybody knows who this person of Dick Turpin is and the significance of this character. Now you see Dick Turpin, I mean, if the spirits could talk, I bet he's got some tales to tell. And it's nicely covered there in the shade. His grave obviously heavily reinforced. That's if this is his actual grave site. What we can do is we could take a walk over to St George's churchyard, but this is St George's churchyard unless there's another one, so that's what we'll find out shortly. But yeah, heavily reinforced due to the fact obviously grave robbers maybe. Crazy. Now this, guys, is St George's church. It's a shame that people have had to put protection over the windows to stop idiots, basically, put it mildly. Look, tour bus coming by. Should we turn our backs to it and see if they'll get the merch? The thing is though, even on that bus, I didn't hear anybody mention the fact that Dick Turpin is buried here, literally just over there. So I'm at the back end of the church, and it is clear that there is no churchyard. It's just a car park. So yeah, buried in St George's churchyard, so that has to be where Dick Turpin is buried. So there you have it, guys. Just here, just there, guys, in this little cemetery area lies the legend of Dick Turpin, highwayman and horse thief.